Welcome, horror fam, to HHN 365, a Halloween Horror Nights podcast. My name is Mike, and I'm here with my co-host, Dub.
Hey, guys.
And our producer, Nico.
Hey, howdy, hey.
You can always catch us on Twitter and Instagram at HHN 365, and you can always leave us a voicemail at 407-906-3405. On today's show, we will be discussing our HHN resolutions for 2021. Joining us, we actually have a guest. If you listen to the show, you have heard his voice on the show. I would call him our first friend of HHN 365. You can also hear him at Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights and Grim Grinning Hosts and a bunch of other podcasts. You can find him on Twitter at HanBrolo77. That is the one and only Hunter. How's it going, Hunter?
Hey guys, I'm super excited to be back. I gotta say, I'm really excited about the topic of this show in particular. It's a really good one. I've been thinking the last couple days. I'm like, what can we talk about? And I'm excited to see what you guys got. And if I may say, I think I've got a couple good ones up my sleeve as well. So I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, it's been a little bit that you've been on an official HHN 365 episode, I think. I think you were basically
when we talked about it being postponed.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly. I think that was the last time
we've had a lot of crossover, Catacombs. Like we've called you guys like I said on Twitter not too long ago that you guys are like, it's like, I always use musical comparisons, and you know what, we're all musical guys, so it works out. But it's like when a band finds another band and they just like really hit it off and they spend like the next like 36 years touring together because it's reliable. That's basically how I view HHN 365 and GGH/Catacombs. So it just works out. I love you guys. I'm excited to be back.
Oh, well, that's a beautiful comparison.
We're the UFO to your Uriah Heep.
That's exactly right. I'm more of a Thin Lizzy guy, but it is what it is.
All right. Before we hop into the segment, we do have an announcement. Duff and Nico, I'll let you guys take it away because this is your kind of your little passion project.
All right. I guess I'll do it then. So we decided we kind of want to help out with some things that are going on, mainly people working for theme parks getting laid off, furloughed, and finding themselves in financial trouble. So you might have seen this done by a few others. We kind of spaced ours out a little bit to give them their time and kind of give everyone their own space to do this. And it's awesome that so many people are. But we're going to do a live stream with a bunch of other creators to raise money. We're definitely doing cast member pantry. And then I believe we're going to do a half to another undecided charity, right, Nico?
Yeah, we're looking at probably still something to local to the Orlando area, but maybe something that affects more than that, because it goes beyond just the cast members that have been affected with this. It also goes to all the hospitality workers and the housekeepers and everything that relies on the big theme park engine that runs this town, unfortunately. So yeah. We definitely want to spread the wealth out for that. But yeah, we have a date set for this one. So come hell or high water, we will be doing this on February 6th, which is a Saturday. So go ahead and mark your calendars for that. Right now, it's going to be kind of this podcast and I would say like the brother podcast to here, the Diz Referee podcast, which I am on, and 13 and I Like It, which I am also on. So we're trying to bring the whole family together to try to raise some money for there. We are working on getting some guests lined up here, and we don't have a title quite yet for the event. We do have it's like themed creators charity event is kind of like what we have right now. Okay. And we might stick with something like that is like that dry to be funny.
Can I tell you guys, say the one that was vetoed earlier today that I really wanted?
Oh yeah, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
I believe it was something to the we meant well, comma, a night of charity and fuck ups. I think I think it would sum it up pretty well.
We meant well, yeah. Yeah. That is definitely good for that. So Just stay tuned to your favorite Twitter account, whether it be HHN365, the Diz Referee Podcast, or the 5 of you that follow I'm 13 and I like it on Twitter. So yeah, we'll have plenty of details for that.
Yeah, more details
soon.
to follow for sure. I'm really excited about this. I know a lot of you guys are out there hurting. The city is really hurting. I know personally, most of us have been affected by it. Not to go it's too deep into it, but a lot of us have been affected by these layoffs. At least for, I think all 3 of us at some point had been either furloughed or laid off by this at one point or another through this whole thing. So we are in this together, guys, and we want to do something to help out for those who can't make ends meet right now.
And then to add to a little hype to this, we might as well add one thing that we're going to do before we have a full announcement later on. And that's going to be our return of HHN Quiplash. But not just that, we're also going to introduce Theme Park Quiplash. As you see, we're working with other brands that are outside the HHN realm. So we're going to go just generic theme park. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to bring that version in.
It's going to be a great time, and we promise it'll be shorter there. And I'm thinking that we need to have a Steve Cream penalty for this, where like if you want to put Steve Cream as your answer, you have to donate $10. So I'm going to go ahead and say that right now. You know, if you want to spam Steve Cream, then you better open up that wallet. So.
Is it like a cheat button though? Is it like the nuke button? If they put that one, is it an automatic win? That's what I want to know.
We know it's an automatic win. Have you seen the audience?
Yes, it will be an automatic.
The audience will always vote for Steve Cream.
Look, Steve Cream was a moment in time. We've collectively decided to move past it. It'll never return. I'm going to be honest. I went looking for my Steve Cream shirt the other day, and I'm pretty sure it disappeared into the ether. Like it's basically like that scene of Leonard Nimoy in The Simpsons. He's like, I've served my purpose, and that's basically what happened to my Steve Cream shirt, and I don't know what happened to it.
I don't know. There's still a little cult going on Twitter. I'm just saying. I see it. It exists.
I actually ordered a Steve Cream mask, and I often, when I don't have a mask for work, I will turn it inside out and I'll wear it. So Steve Cream is all over my face.
Beautiful.
As it's meant to be.
Yeah. All right. Should we hop right into the main segment?
If by right into you mean 15 minutes later, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I mean now, currently, hop right into it.
This is starting to sound like I'm 13 and I like it. 30 minutes to get to the topic.
Let's do it.
You learned that from us.
Yeah.
So like we've alluded to before, this show is going to be basically discussing our resolutions for 2021 when it comes to HHN and HHN 365. I have a couple that are podcast related. Basically, the things that we are going to really want to do 2021 when it comes to Halloween Horror Nights. Who wants to kick it off? We are going to kind of take turns. We each have like three or four, and we're going to just kind of take turns doing one and then hopping back and forth and just kind of making this an open discussion.
I guess I'll kick it off.
Great. Cool.
So I'll start with one. So you were kind of describing this, but real quick, we can do this either from the angle of personal from our podcast, or if you are HHN, what is your resolution? And I'm going to start off with a resolution for HHN itself. And if I'm HHN, I want to see kind of how it used to be, more immersive and scare-centric scare zone. I know there's big debates about these photo op scare zones, and I don't have a problem with them. You've seen me and Mike poke fun at ourselves because we make fun of it and then take pictures in them. They're fun. I get it. And people love them. But at least give me a couple that are just kind of like that old school in your face scare zone style, where the scares take over and the atmosphere is just kind of terrifying. So it used to be like being in a house, where now it's not at all.
Yeah.
And I know
like
some
both.
people aren't going to like that opinion because I see a lot of people defend the Scare Zone's current form, and that's fine. But, that's just how I feel. Yeah, you haven't seen it? There's a lot on Twitter. There's people who clap back about people who want Scare Zones that are like they used to be. And there's people who say they haven't changed at all, which, I mean, come on.
I still think they're scary. I mean, that's just me going to my one time. Like
that's all you've experienced.
The bathrooms, like the porta potties, really freaked me out. But but I think I see what you're saying there with like the way the arcade machines were and the Sinful Island. I forget which over there in the San Francisco area. I forgot the name of that scare zone.
What?
Sinful Island.
Sinful Island?
The one where the go-go dancers were
That's
up
not
on
the
the
name at all. That was nowhere close.
I was a big fan of the Sinful Island. I don't know about you guys. Wasn't it that Blumhouse movie that came out this year?
I forgot
Fantasy
the name,
Island,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
That's probably coming next year, Nico. You probably willed that into existence.
That's the upcharge event.
The Sinful Island.
Hellbilly Deluxe. Okay, carry
Hellbilly
on.
Deluxe. Thank you. I thought I was like, no, that can't be Hellbilly. I put Sinful Island. I'm sorry.
Do you guys think like the Instagram spot thing is just like one of those moments in time, or is it here to stay forever?
I think it's here to stay as long as social media is prevalent. Honestly, like here's my thing. I think like I feel like HHN 25 really had a great idea with the all night. I believe it was the all night die-in scare zone, right? That had basically that was the Instagram zone, and everything else was more focused on like traditional scares. I feel like there is one zone that's very naturally photogenic. To be fair, though, Duff, I feel like they kind of tried a scary zone with Vikings. It just didn't quite come together. So, like, they've got to find that middle ground between what's scary, what is social media focused. I don't think the scare zones have been bad at all, but I also realize, like, I'm somebody personally who is super hyper aware of their surroundings, especially in a environment that your brain is telling you is quote unquote unsafe. So like I've never really gotten a great scare in a scare zone. However, I do believe the potential is there. I wish there was more scary scare zones, kind of the party zones like you're describing don't really work for me. And I feel like scare zones have gotten progressively weaker as time's gone on.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely of that thought. And I try not to talk about it too much because I know some people don't love that opinion that scare zones aren't as scary as they used to be or as intense as they used to be. But it's kind of the truth. They've toned them down a lot. And I think there's a place, like you said, one, maybe even two scare zones can be just purely photo ops. Like Zombieland. I mean, not like Zombieland, but, you know, the style, like the photo op style. I never want to see a scare zone like Zombieland again.
Don't wish that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
But yeah, just kind of how they used to do it. Or like even years past, they've had one or two. I mean, Anarcade's a better example, but that's not even... Yeah, I guess so. You're right. Yeah, I think that's the good kind of photo op scare zone you're going to get.
Right. Yeah.
And I think, again, there's a place for it. But I want to see like old school scare zones again, too.
I think it will probably balance out. I think there's a pendulum swinging back and forth. I do see those like Instagram spots hopping up everywhere. And I do think that it eventually there'll still be like a lot of photogenic scare zones, but I think it'll probably we'll find a balance here in a couple of years where it's not like every scare zone is basically just to be, you know, an Instagram spot. I think it will balance out.
Real quick before we move on, because we probably should. You brought up Anarcade, and I think that's a perfect example of how you can kind of mix those two, where you can have something visually stunning like Anarcade was, but also make it like atmospherically scary, you know? I think you can find that middle ground within one zone. And I hope we get more of that rather than just, well, Zombieland.
Yeah, I think if the monsters in Anarcade were just a little bit more like little scarier, I think that could have been that. It could have been that would have.
That's also partially the location. That's just kind of what the vibe of that location always is for scare zones.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
At least lately. All right, I guess I can go next. So for my first one, a lot of these have kind of come from regrets from 29. Not all of them, but some of them have come from like things that I, looking back, I like think I could have made 29 a little bit better for me. And this one is a personal one. I want to watch every IP basically down to as much as I can before attending the first night of the event. I want to basically gobble up as much content as I can about these things that I'm going to experience, because I didn't watch A House of a Thousand Corpses at all throughout the event. And I didn't watch, I think Killer Clowns, I watched halfway through, but the first time going through it, I hadn't seen that movie. So this time I really want to watch everything. And this is also a two-parter. I will finally want to do a drunken movie review on the podcast that we've been talking
Yes,
about
sir.
from day one, even if it sucks, because it probably will suck. And I'm a little afraid to do it because I think it will suck, but we're going to do it anyway.
We'll enjoy it.
We have
Yeah.
the technology to do it. It's fine.
Yeah, I just think it might suck. I'm very self-conscious about it sucking.
We have the technology to get drunk and talk.
And,
We can rebuild. I will say so GGH for Halloween, we actually did a live YouTube watch along of the Haunted Mansion movie with Eddie Murphy.
Mm.
And I thought it was a complete disaster. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I thought it was great, but we got a lot of great feedback on that. And I honestly think you guys have just as much charisma where something like that would be a ton of fun. I think you should definitely do it.
Yeah, I think we're going to do it.
It'll happen. I think we still need to aim for also things Nico hasn't seen, because that's very high. Like he doesn't know like probably 95% of the IPs that come.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're watching Killer Clowns. You're watching it.
You're treading into territory that I might have on my list.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
I'll shut up.
Yeah. So this will happen. It'll happen probably sometime this year. I will have to say that like I'm old and getting drunk like ruins my week. Not only my next day, but like I'm just so old. I can't remember like the last time I drink beer, often, but not enough to like ruin but to actually get drunk, like this is a big thing. Like I don't get drunk anymore.
Maybe we should just do like buzzed movie review just for you.
Yeah, like a couple of beers. Yeah, but getting actual drunk
I
to be
want to
like
get
funny,
fucking
like,
sloshed and then try to make a podcast out of it.
That's the way to do it.
that's gonna
All right,
ruin my
Craig,
week.
get in here. Craig, get in here.
Craig, join.
Join, Craig. That's a little inside baseball there.
Anyways, back to your like part one of this resolution. That's something I always try to do. I always try to watch IPs I haven't seen or just get a refresher if I have seen it before. And I have one example of a house that I kind of trashed because I didn't watch the IP, but I've watched it now and my opinion would change. And that's Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Oh, you watched it?
Yeah. I haven't finished the entire series. Season 3, season 2.
And you think you would have liked it a lot better?
I enjoy the series a lot. That doesn't mean it would have worked as a house. I've tried to watch POVs of it since, and my opinion really hasn't changed that way, but that's completely different.
Sure.
I don't think it'd be a great house in my opinion, but I probably wouldn't have trashed it. I'd be like, oh, okay, that's fun. That's it.
I think it is one of those houses. Like, I think it's a cop out and one way to say, hey, you've got to know the source material to enjoy this house. Like, I feel like that's kind of stretching it a little bit, but there is something to be said about, hey, if you are familiar with the source material or if it's something that's close to you, you're going to take a lot more away from it. Whether that is, I mean, even with objectively good houses, whether that's Ghostbusters, whether that's the new kind of like heavy hitter, which is Beetlejuice, or even something like Killer Clowns, like, you've got to understand your familiarity with that house is going to boost a lot. I do think Evil Dead deserves another chance. It's kind of weird that they decided to go with Ash versus Evil Dead. My guess is those rights were just easier to obtain than traditional Evil Dead. my biggest issue with Ash versus Evil Dead, and I really like that house. I really like the rock and roll attitude of it, was that I feel like it might have killed our chance of seeing Evil Dead as far as like the Ash Williams Evil Dead ever again. That bums me out.
That would be terrible.
Yeah, I've
always kind of banked on that coming at some point.
Yeah, I feel like it is one of those like Evil Dead is one of those like MIB tent houses, right? Like it is something that makes perfect sense for them to bring just because it is such a cult favorite and it is recognizable. I just think like if we're going to see it again, it's going to be the reboot sequel that's on the way and not the classic.
All right. Who wants to go next?
I can hop in here. I've got one. So this one is from the HHN perspective. And this one is maybe it's kind of demanding, but I just feel like if you're going to do a headliner house, whether that is Ghostbusters, whether that is Stranger Things, HHN needs to make it a resolution to have a headliner facade for that house. Facades are not everything, but I do think they're very important towards setting the tone of the house. I was very disappointed with deciding to use the library and like not even like an impressive version of the library, literally just like a stone wall with the New York Public Library like plaque on the side. And then we got the same thing with the classroom and Stranger Things 2 and 3. I feel like facades are so important for setting up what you're about to experience. When we talk about Scary Tales Deadly Ever After from 28, we always talk about the facade and how it sets things up. Whether that is external with something like House of a Thousand Corpses, whether it is internal, like I said, with like Scary Tales, I think it's hugely important. And lately we've kind of gotten a habit of just kind of dumping you right into the house. And it's like, no, like when I think of my favorite HHN houses, I like having those big introductory scenes. I understand why it's not always possible. But when I think about like last year, when I think about like Yeti had a great entrance, the fact that Ghostbusters and Stranger Things didn't get kind of the same treatment, kind of a disappointment. So if I can have one like selfish desire, it's like, hey, like bring back the big facades for your big houses because they deserve it.
You're absolutely right. And you know
totally
what
agree.
I find funny about that is that the recent headliners, Ghostbusters, Stranger Things, they try to make like every single room grand and beautiful and detailed, but the facade is not. Like, it just makes no sense to me. How is that the one part that you leave as like this small dinky room when every other set's massive? You know, I don't get why you would do that. The facade sets the tone of the house, and it leaves a massive impact on how I'm going to feel about that house overall. So
it's the thing I remember. When I think of a house, I always remember the facade if it's a good one.
So if you're going to skimp out on the sets anywhere, don't do it there. Do not do it with the facade.
Yeah. And just like, I really like what they're doing, like with The Bride of Frankenstein Lives. Like, I thought it was incredible that they kind of had that introductory hallway, like that mini facade before it opened up into the big one. If that's how you're going to kind of like, for space reasons or however you've got to set it up, if that's how you got to do it, that works for me. I would willingly sacrifice an extra room of actual show to have a grander like opening scene. I don't know about you guys, but for me, that's a sacrifice I'd be willing to make.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think this, you said specifically for headliner houses, and I'd agree with you partially. I think you can apply that to all houses, but if you look at like Tooth Fairy, it doesn't necessarily have to be grand. Do something different at the very least.
Sure. I think with Tooth Fairy, why we had such a fondness for that one is the kinetic movement, right? Like we loved the way that it was acting like a pop-up book. That's not necessarily, like you said, a big grand scene. I would argue, yeah, it's pretty big, but like it's not The Bride of Frankenstein Lives or Scary Tales or something like that. But it still gets the point across, and that kinetic motion really pulls things together. And just, I'm always going to think about, as much as Ghostbusters means to me, and as much as I really dug that house, that it was missing something critical. And I just think it really should have had the firehouse facade.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Nico, you ready to do one?
We'll see the resolutions here. So this is going to be an HHN specific one. resolution that I would like to see would be continuing the implementation of virtual queue.
Okay.
I think that was a very popular thing that they rolled out for there. I thought it went pretty well, at least for the two houses. I mean, it got better as it went along. I mean, ignoring the 2 days of Beetlejuice. I think they can work the kinks out with there, but that will allow folks to, I think, enjoy walking around more, seeing the the different scare zones and stuff, and helping spread out the crowds a little bit more, because I have, a lot of people are optimistic about this vaccine. I'm not the most optimistic about this. I still think we're going to have masks and social distancing for HHN next year. So but either way, I really hope that there's going to be an implementation of virtual queue. But that's just my 2 cents.
So if there's still any kind of restrictions, then yeah, I agree. Makes a lot of sense. But if we're running a full capacity HHN, do you really think that would benefit the guest? I feel like it would just make things so much harder to get to. It would make hitting all 10 houses, or however many houses they decide to do, who knows, in one night almost impossible.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I just hate standing in standby lines, to be completely honest with you. Rise of the Resistance ruined me, and all these virtual queues have ruined me from that, because I can go enjoy something else instead of standing in these cattle these cattle pens, these switchbacks that stretch farther than the eye can see, looking at the backside of the Men in Black building. I still think virtual queue, I really think it will be implemented, because I think that's kind of where Universal wants to push all of their attractions eventually.
I see where you're coming from. I think the system needs a lot of work before we get to the point where anything at full capacity completely relies on it. I think maybe if you just did like the main houses, the featured houses, or the big IPs that way, like 2, maybe 3 houses. Yeah, sure. I just don't think you could run the whole event that way. That would be rough.
Okay. Yeah, that would be a good compromise between the two of us.
I feel like there's something to be said as far as maybe implementing that system once a line reaches capacity, which is hard when you're talking about switchbacks. Granted, if we are going to have to be doing social distancing, those switchbacks do not carry nearly as much lengthwise, but I could see maybe in the future if it was one of those things where maybe it's even an upcharge. Maybe it's not the cost of express, but it's one of those things of, hey, if this wait is over an hour, reserve your time and then come back, kind of like a max pass system or something. I could see maybe them implementing something like that. I personally think virtual queue has a place at HHN. To be perfectly honest, I don't know exactly what that looks like at this time, just because we've only had the one experience to kind of get used to it. And it was during a very weird time.
Yeah.
I think it is inevitable, for that eventually, because this was definitely a test. They've always wanted to do that, and they found a perfect time to do it this year. And I really hope it comes back.
I think it'll be back next year. And how well it does next year is going to be the test if we see it moving forward.
Sure. I will say, if they do bring it back, something that's going to happen is, regardless of having virtual queue, you're going to have open standby queue available for those who want it. You're not going to be able to give out all your return times for Beetlejuice next year without there being an actual riot,
Yeah, we almost saw riots a couple of times. So yeah.
And that
we almost started one.
we did. That's actually perfect. So I was going to mention how you bring up Max Pass is exactly what I think you could do at HHN. That exact style system would work perfectly in an event like that. And honestly, I think Max Pass is the perfect theme park virtual queue system there is, to be honest.
I love Max Pass. It's
Max
so great.
It's very good.
All right. Who wants to go next? I can go. I'll go for the. Has everyone done at least one? Yeah,
we've all done one now.
Cool. So I'll do my second one. This one also kind of comes from not necessarily regret, but so don't normally buy the shirts, mostly because I don't necessarily care for them. I always think they kind of look ugly, but HHN Light or HHN, what was supposed to be HHN 30, honestly, the merch kind of I want to say kind of like a spring awakening, so to speak. Like now I really like the merch, and my resolution is that I'm going to start buying every HHN house shirt, even if I hate it, and begin collecting every year I have attended off of like eBay and stuff. So that is my resolution, that I'm going to start collecting, even if it's ugly, like 21, which is the ugliest shirt ever. I probably won't wear it, but
I want to argue with you. I think 23 is worse, but
23 is terrible. But I actually didn't attend 23, so I don't have to buy that one.
We have a whole episode on this if you want to go back and listen to
it. Yeah, I submitted a segment coincidentally.
You did.
You did. Yeah.
Just remember, it's not HHN merch without a colossal fuck up on it.
Actually,
Mike, are you gonna like collect the strappy ones too, like the special cuts?
I think just the house shirt. I can't go too crazy. I have a family. Like they're very expensive.
Britney, bitch. Yeah.
Right. But I am just going to just the house shirt, whether it's ugly or, and then if there's a good one, I might buy that too. But I'm going to at least buy the house shirt every year. I know most people do that already. I'm going to start that.
So this wasn't on my list, but it is also a resolution of mine for the same exact reasons. Like the merch that we got this year was amazing, to be honest. Yeah. I love the designs.
We went nuts on that last day.
We did. And I got like everything. It's insane how much I gave them this year. When in the past, 15-ish years, I've bought like 3 things total merchandise wise. And I regret not buying something like the house shirt or a fucking shot glass or, anything to commemorate just the event, commemorate each event I went to. And like you, trying to go back, and if I've been to that year, I want to buy something from it. So you actually nailed one of my resolutions, not one on my list, but a resolution I had regardless, perfectly.
Yeah. I think there is something to be said. I feel like we all had our own placebo effect this year of like, wow, I'm not giving this event as much money. Like our brain subconsciously was like, there's a lot more money in my bank account right now than there usually is this time of year. And I just feel like I bought way more merchandise than I normally would have, to be perfectly honest. But also, I just think with it being the 30th anniversary, like as soon as they posted like the Fright Night shirt and like the actual first Halloween Horror Night shirt, I'm like, those are great. Like, I'm glad that you guys are actually celebrating like your heritage with the event. But even the original stuff, like you guys talked about several times, I've talked about how much I love. I'm literally looking at the poster on the wall, the comic book cover that featured the sort of scare zone, not entirely scare zone like design. That was great art, and it was just really cool. And it's a lot more interesting than just kind of like your old. The house shirts are great because it helps you commemorate the event. It's like getting a great tour shirt from a band that you love. But I love when they kind of break it out and they do unique things with their merchandise that celebrate more than I don't need every shirt with Jack the Clown on it. But if you're doing something interesting with it, like the posters we saw this year, that's awesome. Of course, I'll buy something with Jack on it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The merch this year was great. I honestly held out for most of the year, and I was just like, I'm not going to go crazy. I bought like 1 or 2 shirts, but I'm not going to go crazy. And then that last day when it was all like 70% off, I went fucking nuts. I literally, my hands, I was like handing stuff to people to hold for me. I went crazy.
You were playing guys' grocery games.
Duff can attest to it.
Yeah,
no, who was with us, Duff? Oh, it was
we were
Jonathan. Yeah, Jonathan from Hung Up on Theme Parks. He's like, "Do you want to hold some of that?" I'm like, yes, please hold some of it for me.
Mike's like balancing glasses on his head. It was crazy. It was crazy. It sort of going off the rails here, but I think it's funny that the year that we finally enjoy HHN merch this much is also the year that Universal in general puts out great merch. I've slandered their merch for years. And then this year we got so much like retro merch. And I was like, oh, God damn it. I love you now.
Good.
Yeah,
it's also good.
They've upped the merch game and the food game.
Yeah. I mean, we got the Bunwar shirt this year, which was the greatest piece of theme park merchandise that's ever been released.
All right.
I actually want to hop in here if I can, just because this one, is it okay if I do that? I don't want to step on anybody's toes.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
This one, I think I had to put one of these that I was like, oh, should we just talk about fun things? Like, this is a fun show. But like, I do think there's something serious here. And I know you guys have my back on this one. So I think it's important to talk about. If I was HHN Universal and I had a resolution, we desperately need legitimate security for the event and the scare actors. I am so tired of seeing friends and people that I follow, people that love and respect the event, honestly, just being straight up abused every single event year. Of course, that kind of comes with working with the public, but it doesn't need to be that way. The fact that I've seen so many Universal security people just kind of like watch people, they don't want to get involved. They don't want to start any sort of like altercation is pretty gross, to be perfectly honest. Your security team should be protecting your actors. And it's something that I'm just kind of sick of seeing, to be honest. These people deserve protection. They come to the event, definitely not for the pay. They come to it because they love it. And we need to take better care of them.
100%.
You're absolutely right.
Absolutely right.
It's been an issue in theme parks for basically ever. But there's something special about HHN where like it happens nonstop. Like it is I was going to use the word pandemic. I should not. It's a big issue specifically at HHN. I don't know. If it's strictly how much alcohol is consumed because it's dark and easier to get away with because you're in these tight corridors with the scare actors. I don't know which one or how much of each, but it is a massive issue. And like you said, security really doesn't step in as much as they should.
Yeah, I don't even think it's alcohol, to be perfectly honest. Like, yeah, intoxication does play into it. But like you see stories from California, which has been a dry event for several years now. I just think, honestly, like with any haunt attraction, there's always that subsection of people that is, oh, I'm too scared and I'm going to hit you because I'm frightened. Or, oh, man, you scared my girl. Now I've got to be overly macho about it. Like that one tends to be kind of like the predominant one, and that's just completely toxic and unnecessary. You shouldn't go to an event like this if you feel like that. But regardless of what it is, I don't care how you got to that point, but if somebody gets too close or start something with a scare actor or a coordinator, whoever is working at these events, security needs to step it up. There's no reason for as many horror stories come out pretty much every single week, even every couple nights, from people that I know personally. It's gross.
Yeah. And I think one thing that's really sad about that is that these scare actors like care about their job so much. Like they'll start getting into these, like the beginning stage of the altercation, and they'll completely stay in character the entire time. A point where you're looking at security should probably come in and start helping them out. And they're just sitting in character, taking all this abuse, occasionally getting hit, getting groped, all while staying in character and just letting it happen because no one stepped in to protect them like they're getting paid to do.
Yeah. Like I said, I know this is a fun episode, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that. I think it's something that's long overdue, and it desperately needs to be adjusted.
Yeah, I'm happy you brought definitely. It up. Yeah, they need to really look at that critically. And I think I ruffled a couple of some feathers of people a couple weeks ago on the podcast when I said that I thought that the plexiglass might be here to stay solely for, like, in certain aspects, solely to protect this characters. And honestly, I think it might, like, it's maybe not in every boo hole, but like we talked about a lot on the show where, like, if it was coming from below you or something like that, like some of the lower ones where you could easily kicked, I think if done well, I think plexiglass could potentially be a way to protect this characters. All right, Nico, do you got another one?
Yeah. So to transition from this important topic, I would like to say that resolution for this year, I'm going to be a big boy about this. I do plan on watching Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yeah.
Sometime this year. I will. I'll do it. And we'll make an event out of this. We'll do like a lead up to this. We're gonna lead up to this.
We're streaming it, first of all.
Yeah, we're gonna be streaming it. We might even make T-shirts. I don't know yet.
I'll make it a T-shirt.
We're gonna contact the Orlando Sentinel. Gonna do an article on this. If these things do come true,
but I've already read my 3 articles this year, so I'm not going to be able to read it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to read it either.
I hate to tell you that I got so annoyed I pay $1 a month now. Damn.
Oh, really?
Do you really?
Yeah.
I'm also a proud subscriber of local journalism.
$1 a month, it's fine. It's all right. And they have some good stuff. I honestly do it for Orlando City stuff more than anything, but
yeah. We know how much you love Mike Bianchi.
Mike Bianchi. That man follows me and unfollows me every other week. It's insane.
He does not deserve to have his name pronounced correctly.
Yeah, exactly.
Bianchi.
Yeah. I've always called him Bianchi, and I'm going to continue to call him Bianchi. Anyway, yes, I am going to watch Killer Clowns from Outer Space. We will be streaming it. So this will probably come later in the year.
Wait,
I mean, later, not this year, because, we only have
later next year.
Yeah, it'll be sometime in 2021.
Probably early 2021.
Yeah, it'll be early 2021. Yeah.
Whenever.
We'll find some time to do it, but that will be coming. So that is definitely a resolution I will set this year, is that I will finally watch Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
And you need to watch it with an open mind, because I've said this multiple times.
I will watch it with
found
open
this
mind.
Movie on your own, it would be your fucking favorite movie if you have found this.
I don't know why you're so I get.
I don't know how it's going to be Showgirls.
You have a bit that you have to play. This is your job. I get it, but you're gonna fucking love this movie. This is your movie. I guarantee it.
All right. I am gonna watch it with an open mind and maybe an open beverage as well. So,
I mean, it's only customary when we stream, you drink. That's how it works.
Okay, yeah, that will be true. So, so that is the resolution for me, and I think I might have one more after this.
All right, cool. So I guess I will hop on now. I think I'm gonna go with one that pertains to our podcast, HHN 365.
Okay.
And this is kind of a more, it's not a serious issue, but it's more like a serious intent, not so much fun. And that's, I want us to be more engaging and active on social media and just kind of do fun things more often rather than, we just kind of reply to people occasionally. We'll post our new episodes and that's about it. But the whole reason we made this podcast is to get more involved in the community, which we have called friends now, how many people we talk with, and I love it. But there's so much more we're missing out on. So I just want to be more active and actually talk with everyone in the HHN community.
I totally agree. I have to admit that I'm terrible at social media. I'm sounding really, really old. And I'm not that old, but I've always been really bad at social media, and so it's like a struggle for me to get better, but it's something I really want to do.
The community has really come around, I think, in recent memory. Not that it was, I feel like a lot of the bad relationships from the HHN community come from a certain subsection of the fan base who feels they're entitled to the event or the control the flow of the event. But honestly, the social media presence that we've cultivated on Twitter, I just think has been awesome. I've met so many awesome, wonderful people through HHN Twitter, especially, that I feel like we've really made it a point to be as open and accepting of whether it's your first year or whether you've been going the entire time. You're welcome to talk about and enjoy and spread your love of the event. And I think it's ultimately one of the most positive communities that I'm a part of, and I'm forever grateful for it.
Yeah, no, you're right. It really is. And I think to kind of go deeper into one thing you said is anytime there's any like hint of gatekeeping, it gets called out by hundreds of people on HHN Twitter. Like they get bashed instantly. And that's fantastic. I mean,
yeah,
we've talked
about
this
we
times.
Even saw it like it.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we even saw it this year where we even saw people like Mike Aiello saying like no gatekeeping, like that's a major thing. Like, and if you're one of those people who said, I see more posts about gatekeeping than I actually see it, like that means that not only are you a part of the right communities now when you're with people that are basically not blocking you, but basically you're seeing more positive interactions. It's one of those things where it was a big issue for a long time. And I feel like the fan base kind of just got sick of it. And it's important to embrace those people and not make them feel awful because they're 16 years old and they weren't around or old enough to go check out HHN 25 or 22 or whatever it might be.
Yeah. What I was going to say is we've talked about this on Stay and Screamcast. We've talked about it here on HHN 365, and that's from, I'd say, HHN 26 till now, there has been massive growth. Like it's insane how much the community has grown throughout social media, especially. So, and like you said, it just comes down to age for a lot of them, to be honest. A lot of them are early 20s, still teens. They weren't really going to be going before that. You know, whenever you stumble upon it is fine. You know, you don't have to start going when you're like 5 years old, like some people did. It's okay. And if you come and you fall in love with it, then welcome.
Agree.
Yeah, totally. Sure. Does that mean that we are going to get more active in the HHN Facebook group? Or is that a lost cause?
Having our posts removed.
Hard pass.
Because we were advertising. We weren't really.
That didn't happen. Nico's making things up.
No, that was on a forum.
Yeah.
Nico is making things up right now. We had never of our posts removed on the Facebook group.
He wasn't making it up. He just confused the outlet that it happened on. That's all.
Okay. Yeah, it was for the Copa thing.
No, that's not correct.
No, okay, he's making things up now.
What is that?
Oh, I'm misremembering things, just like Sin Island or Sinful Island.
My God.
Okay, we can move on now.
All right, I have another one. So this one, I was thinking about like, what are some of the things I just like of HHN that I just have not experienced yet, and maybe not all next year, but I want to do all the HHN add-on experiences like Dine with This Character and all the VIP tours and Behind the Screams. I want to do all the extras eventually in the near future.
That's a good one. I kind of had one that tied into here as well. I guess I'll just go ahead and throw it in with yours because I think they can be discussed at the same time. Not only have we heard great things about the scare actor dining, and of course the various tours are very popular. I just think like a good upcharge experience is something to bring back as well. Like I really think there is a place for something that's an upcharge event that actually runs during the event. Last time we kind of saw something like that was during 26. But even if it's something like an interactive element, like the Amulet of Fear, just done way better, there is a place for some sort of interactive upcharge thing. And I think that goes hand in hand with what you're saying.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited to do that. Especially like the RAP tours and other things like that. Hopefully, maybe we can do that this year. At least do one of those things because that would be fun. For that, we did have plans right before everything came crashing down to do something along the lines
of some of these. Yeah, I think we planned on at least doing. Yeah, a couple of these.
Mm-hmm. Since I kind of tied that one in here, I'll one thing that if I was HHN, I'd want to make a resolution. I want houses that are less passive and have shorter reset times. I feel like this is becoming a more apparent issue. I feel like it kind of goes back and forth. Like some years it's a bigger issue than others, but I feel like there's been this increasing line of houses where they're doing awesome scares, they're doing awesome scenes, but the problem is, so take for instance Door Yeti, awesome scene, great effect. Mm-hmm. The problem is, I think I saw it twice out of 25 run throughs that house during season, give or take. The problem with doing these very eventful, huge scares is that you're going to miss them, and it's fine if it's like one or two scares in the house. But I feel like there are certain houses. I think the most prevalent that comes to mind immediately in recent memory is HHN 27, whether that's The Fallen or Saw. They just keep doing these houses that are so setup heavy that you really have to have perfect timing to hit it. And that kind of like, especially if I go with a lot of first time people, I go with people who only go one or two nights. It's kind of like, oh man, do I tell them that they really missed some of the coolest parts of the house? What do I do here? Like, how do I figure out the best way to say, no, I promise it's really good. You just are never going to get a chance to see it. It's awkward. I think you can cut down on those experiences just by doing less elaborate scares. I feel like they have such a legacy and the talent behind it where they can figure out how to do these awesome scares, but also make it where more people can see them. Because I do think it's a bit of an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And one of the examples you brought up, Saw, HHN 27s, was like you could walk through it and see nothing. Like there were times I just walked straight through that house and I was like, I saw two scare actors.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a real catch-22 because I really like some of these elaborate big setup scares. I think they really add like uniqueness to some of the houses. But then you're right. It also sometimes you just go through the house and you're just like, oh, like, you know, most of the boo holes were empty. And it's you just missed these scares.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Duff, do you have another one?
I do. I have a couple more, actually. I guess next I'm going to go with one that's for HHN. And that's bringing back a show in the style of Bill and Ted, a skit improv type show, something to kind of be comedic relief and just something you can go sit and enjoy. That'd be great. And like, obviously I would love to have Bill and Ted back, but it doesn't have to be Bill and Ted. There are rumors about things that could have happened this year that have been similar using different IPs. And anything like that would be a welcome return. Well, I think shows like Academy of Villains, not them anymore, thank you very much. But shows like that have a place. I think it's on the temporary stages and not like as your main stage show.
Yeah, I agree with this one. I think it kind of ties into my last one. I think the shows play a huge role in making a good experience, and I think seeing some great shows, comic relief, things that kind of break the monotony of just like being scared all the time. I think we definitely need them.
Yeah, there is. I mean, the greatest combination that one can do in movies for horror a lot is pairing up horror with either a little bit of comedy or at least something to ease that tension. Not only that, do I think it makes you appreciate the scariness a little bit more, but I also think like you kind of need a buffer for people. Like not everybody that's there wants to just get scared the entire night, especially if you're going with somebody that's new. I think having a comedy show, whether that is Bill and Ted, whether that's kind of like this Beetlejuice thing that they've talked about before, being able to take somebody to, say last year, if they were to do Stranger Things and Ghostbusters, and like they're kind of at that point where they're like, "Ooh, I don't know if I'm ready for something yet." being able to ease the mind and get them back into that state of mind by putting them in something that's more relaxing where they can have a good time and loosen up. I think that's very critical to the event. And I do think that's something they're missing, because as talented as Academy of Villains was last year, everything aside, I do think they're like that carried on the same atmosphere from the event. It was a very intense show. It kept your emotions running high. There's a little bit of comedy, but I think a straight comedy show is something that's desperately needed.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Mine, my last one that ties in so much that I think I'm going to go ahead and do it now with what you just said, Hunter. One of mine is actually to convince my wife, now that she's a premium annual pass holder, to do one night of Halloween Horror Nights with me, even if that means no houses, and just experience the shows, whatever scare zones aren't too intense, just like the photo op ones, and a night of rides, because I've never done that at Halloween Horror Nights. I think that would be a unique way to experience the night. I think 29 probably could have been perfect for her. We just never really pulled the trigger and bought her that ticket. But now it's free because she's a premium annual pass holder. I think we're going to try it this year.
That's awesome.
I'd be excited to see how that goes, because knowing her, that is far from her wheelhouse.
Yeah, no, she doesn't like anything scary, even remotely scary. But if we have scare zones similar to what we had in 29, I think we could go through an arcade and be fine. We could go through a vanity ball and have some fun in there. We would not go through Vikings Undead. We would just skip that one. But like Hellbilly Deluxe, like there were so many, even Zombieland, I don't think it would have been too bad for her. I think there was, and she would have loved the Lagoon show and Academy of Villains show. She would have loved all that. And I think she would have had, honestly, and we just did some of the rides like Men in Black and the Mummy and stuff. I think we would have had a really great night.
I hope that comes true, because that's going to probably be the only way I can get my fiance Holly out there to that.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see both of them for the first time. I'd enjoy it.
Yeah. It would be good content on here too.
Yeah. I mean, I there's no way that I'm getting her through a house. Like I've thought about, like, could she do Ghostbusters? Could she do Stranger Things? There's no way that she could do it. She doesn't like that type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if she has the free ticket, you might as well just bring her and walk her through what she can.
Yeah. Even if it just means doing some of the Reds.
Yeah, it sounds like a good night to me.
Yeah, should be fun. Hear the music. I think you might be able to like work her way up to a house, like there, walk through, maybe. That's what I would have to do with Ollie, is like try to work her way up.
I don't know, Nico, because I remember in our chat recently, I don't even remember what it was specifically, but there was something she said came on TV and she had to like cover her eyes or get away from the TV. And it was something that wasn't even like horror adjacent, and it was too scary for her. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if she'll get in a house.
My wife's kind of the same way.
That's true. I mean, one can dream, at least,
Yeah. Hey, we'll see. We'll give them some liquid courage and see what happens.
Yeah.
All right. Who's up next? I did all of mine.
Nico or Hunter, do you have one left?
Nico, if you've got something, go on ahead.
Yeah, I got something so I did one that's HHN related. I did one that was a personal one related, and I'll do one that's HHN 365 related. I want to make sure I can do everything on my end to help Duff achieve his goals of making sure that we have the widest outreach as possible. And that's learning new ways to make ourselves sound better each week, which I feel like I'm getting better at. Every time I try to, edit our voices down and try to take the Discord edge off of it. Want to make sure I want to do a lot more live streams this year, whether it be, our drunk movie reviews, our Quiplash stream, our charity streams and stuff. I want to do a lot more of that in the upcoming year, because I feel like that's a great way to reach out to our fans and to the whole community. So that's from what I can do. That's what I mean by we have the technology. We might as well use it. So
yeah, we definitely were trying to be a little bit more interactive. I think that's kind of why we started this podcast to begin with, is we as much as we like to talk about this event, I think we also wanted to engage with as many people as possible and talk about it. And I think the live streams and the chats and things like that are a great way to do that. And I think we're try to push forward on that and try to do as often as we can.
Yeah, definitely. And it's something that recently has been tougher for us. And I mean, a lot of people are going through similar issues, so I'm sure you understand. But once we get back to where we were, I'd say summer or maybe even the spring, we were really kicking stuff up. We were doing streams and we were about to go full swing into this. And then, shit started going down. And
we had a lot of ideas planned and things down the pike. And then it just got very busy,
Yeah. So I feel like we can be at that point. We've had a year to talk about it and all that. And I think we can really start kicking it off there. I mean, this is episode 42 of that. Yep. And look how far we've come. I just want to say, like, just as a retrospect this year, and look how far we've come going through there. The quality of our shows have dramatically increased. I remember when it was y'all two sharing a single Yeti. Was it a Yeti? Or no, it was a snowball. It was the blue snowball microphone. And then I was like, well, I can figure out a way to make this a little bit better for you. And then we had that. And then the reason we use Discord at all is because of you, Hunter. Actually, I don't know if you know that.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah. So I was at work and Mike and Duff texted me. It was like, hey, we need to figure out a way to get Hunter in, but Hunter can't really come over and do that. We have to do it from his house. So I'm sitting there like, oh shit, what do we do? And I was like, oh, I have this idea. Why don't we use Discord and try to do something like that? And it turned out to work out really well for us, since we really can't get together and record. And
they were all recorded in person for the most part before then.
Yeah.
Before then, I think we recorded a couple after. And then ever since April, we've done all Discord and or what you and Duff and Hunter doing their stay and screamcasts. But I want to make sure that we can make it sound even better for you guys. Clean up the audio as much as we can. Get Duff a new router or something. It's not the router issue. It's issues that lie deeper within his building.
The internet sucks here. It's terrible.
But I really want to make sure to make it sound good, because I feel like that's the best thing I can contribute, because I'm not the best with Halloween Horror Nights knowledge or anything like that, as proved already on this episode twice. But I want to strive to make sure that this is the best damn sounding podcast out there. So,
hey, listen, your HHN knowledge has grown so much. I think you could name every icon, maybe not on the spot, but you could name them all. So
I know Lady Luck.
I'm putting you on the spot, Nico, right now.
All right.
Oh God.
Lady Luck, Scarecrow, Jack.
Wait, no, stop. What's the second one you said?
He said Scarecrow.
Right. That was
the Batman villain, Scarecrow.
No, wasn't there a Scarecrow? Or am I getting that confused with that?
There was was going to be talked about at one point icon named Nathaniel Crow. Is that what you're?
Scarecrow? Basically, yes.
I think that's what I was thinking of.
All right, bonus points then. Fuck it.
There we go. Crap. What other? I'm sure there was some sort of. No, Pumpkin was supposed to be this year, right? The Pumpkin guy.
That is a lord.
Or a lord, yeah. Pumpkin Lord, pardon me. I guess he owns land in Scotland or something. Oh crap! I don't know if I can name all the rest of the icons. How many more are there?
It's okay.
Oh,
you can stop.
yeah.
I was just joking.
It's a good bit, though.
All right. Does anyone have any more to do?
No, I think I've really hit them. I mean, there's like some unreasonable ones where I'm like, oh, that would be a great idea, but they're not even worth bringing up because it's all like pie in the sky stuff that will never happen.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm always dreaming for the day that pies come from the sky. So
that would be great.
All right. So you said unreasonable. So now I have to hear it. Just name one of them.
Well, you and I actually talked about it the other day. Like there is one that I think makes perfect sense as far as like, hey, it's time to expand HHN with one more major house. Honestly, if Poseidon's Fury is coming down anytime soon, I think that's a venue for an HHN soundstage. You and I talked about it. It's easy enough to reach from backstage. It's a big area that they can utilize. Yeah, it's going to be unattractive from like the main park, but I imagine they do something to kind of cover it up or put something in front of it if they're just going to use it for soundstage work. Once again, very unlikely, but I do think it's a fun one as far as like, hey, where do we put these extra things? What if we want to do something that's bigger than just a tent? Hey, we've got this great big soundstage for a show that's kind of had its day. Let's use it. And I think that's a great location to add an extra house. Wouldn't take a lot of backstage work to get people back there, even if you're not using IOA for the event.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing when we were talking about it that you brought up that we need to mention is you love the vortex tunnel. What about the water vortex tunnel?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. That's what I was going to say. It's like we have one already built in.
I know, right? It would be do you imagine that in a dark house? Oh my God.
Oh.
Anyways, you're absolutely right. That is like primo location for a house. It would be claustrophobic, dark. There's already features built in. Again, we don't really know what the feasibility looks like from operational standpoint, but it's an easy walk right across the back lot of Universal. It's just on the backside border of IOA, so it could work.
The Revenge of Darkanon. That would be incredible.
Oh,
it's what we deserve, to be honest.
I'm pretty sure we did a wish list type episode once, and I brought up something that I want is a house that ties in to a theme park original, like one of the parks originals. And well, that's not fully original. Close enough, right?
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just thinking like what you could put there. It's right next to Hogsmeade. Even if you're going to have Hogsmeade open for like Halloween stuff and only do HHN stuff on the USF side, you could totally make that like a Chamber of Secrets attraction or something like that. And people would lose their minds for it.
Really cool.
Ooh.
Good luck getting the transphobic woman to agree to that one.
The Dementors.
Yeah, how did Japan... we're not going to get into it.
We can get into it.
Okay, how the fuck did Japan get Dementors?
No clue.
Did
I don't even have a witty comeback for it.
Was there like a contract written in Japanese and she just signed it or something? I don't know.
Maybe they're just doing their own thing. They're just not telling her.
Fuck it.
And she just doesn't pay attention to that park. So
she doesn't know there's one in Osaka.
You guys have one in Japan? Oh, shit.
Yeah, the park with the flying dinosaur ride. Yeah, it's at Islands of Adventure, right? Yeah.
All right, Duff, do you have one last one?
I do have one last one, yes. And this one is going to be a personal thing. And this one's a little more mushy and touching. But I want to spend more time at the event this year with friends and simply just taking in the atmosphere, having drinks with them, grabbing food with them at the event. I always kind of get sucked into like this. Oh, I just want to hit one more house. Oh, just one more house. Mm-hmm. I got to hit one more house. You know, I go so many nights and yet I still feel like I got to just do another house, you know? And that takes up so much of my time where I don't get to just fully take in the atmosphere and enjoy the company of my friends. And that's something that I really want to do this year. You know, just sit at Duff Gardens or whatever and have drinks with my friends. Go to Finn's, have some drinks with my friends. So basically it's about friends and alcohol.
Go to the blood bag girls. Get some drinks with your friends.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, R.I.P. Yeah, I totally agree, Duff. I definitely want to take it slower. Maybe not the first couple of nights, but eventually I want to take it a lot slower. I feel like every time we go, we just are rushing around and really not just kind of taking in the whole thing. We're just kind of rushing from house to house to try to get in as many houses as we can every time we go. I'd like to try to, take it slower and talk to people and, put out that we're there and talk to our friends and just hang out.
Stop and smell the fog.
We have so many more people now that we know who attend HHN all the time. Hunter, you're a great example. I look forward to finally going to HHN with you, a real HHN with you now.
Yeah. I know I'm not as entertaining as some other friends, but at least we have a good time.
You know what I will say? The best thing that happened this year was the HHN Light Day, when Brides and Tooth Fairy opened. Mm-hmm. We were all together. Yeah. That was a good day. Had no cares in the world. Like, we were all just hanging out and stuff. Like, it was good to just see everybody and like that. It was very refreshing. And I think about that day a lot, to be honest. Yeah. And I think about like how great a day that was.
Just a couple bros hanging 6 feet apart, having a couple beers. Yeah. You know how it is.
Mm-hmm. Circus peanuts in our drinks.
I feel like HHN Light, like, not to go too off topic, but HHN Light's going to be one of those things where it's not going to feel real in a couple years. Like, it's going to be such this weird, like, little side note in the canals of HHN history. And it is cool to have those memories with you guys and with other friends. Like, it's weird. Like, this year was weird, but it gave us some experiences that I truly will never forget, and I'll never have a chance to replicate.
Yeah, no, it's something so different. Waking up at 6 a.m. to go to HHN houses, like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And like, how crazy will it be if we don't get Brides and Tooth Fairy again, and they go down in history as HHN lighthouses only? It's just something that makes HHN Light so special. Mm-hmm. And like you said, like, that specific day, opening day of those houses, is something that's like etched into my mind. You know, this year it's really not hard to be that memorable, but I think it's like the top. Like, it's that one day I'm going to remember it this year.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. All right. Does anybody else have any others, or is that all?
I think that's about it on my end, anyways.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. All right.
Yeah. So did I. I really, I wasn't sure if we were transitioning. Sorry about that. No. I agree. We was having a good time.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for listening. Hunter, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, man, it's always a pleasure. I'd be happy to step in anytime you guys need me. I'm always excited to talk to you all.
Yeah. Hunter, what are you up to lately?
Lately, honestly, waiting for the job market to come back through. But besides that,
us too.
Yeah, it's a messy situation that will hopefully be resolved soon. But I did receive my stimulus. It was 45 copies of Hubie Halloween. I'm actually very happy with that. It worked out to the better. But besides that, little plug. Of course, you guys know the Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights, but Grim Grinning Hosts, which is my theme park / pop culture show, we are rapidly approaching episode 100, which is pretty great. This year, we kind of took things we did. Not to give away too much backstage stuff, but we were only able to get out half the downloads that we normally do in a year, and GGH still keeps trucking along and people are enjoying it, and I'm forever grateful. So we're really going all out for episode 100. We've got a brand new theme song. We've got new artwork. There's kind of a new direction for the show. There's a bunch of things that are coming together. I'm really excited to do that, just because GGH is something that is kind of my free project to talk about whatever I want. I love talking about Halloween Horror Nights, but GGH, we've done commercial shows, we've done nostalgia shows, we've covered theme parks. It pretty much is a catch-all, and I love it. So yeah, I'm really excited for episode 100 of that. As far as Catacombs, we are going to be wrapping up our HHN 25 retrospective series that Shelby and I started. So the next episode is all about the houses at HHN 25. And then we'll have one more episode to finish out the year talking about the shows. So yeah, those are kind of the projects that are coming on down the line. And I'm really excited to get them out for people.
Awesome.
I can't wait. And I know GGH has something new coming that's fantastic. So
yes. Yeah, we've got some exciting stuff coming on down the line. It's I'm stoked, honestly.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear it. All right. Yeah, we like we just said earlier, we have a few things planned as well. Some of them are just kind of conceptual at this point, but we definitely have some stuff coming to you. We'll be back next week as well with a show that we don't know yet. And as always, you can catch us on social media at Twitter and Instagram, HHN365, and leave us a voicemail at 407-906-3405. We have a voicemail that we're going to attack on the end of the show. So it just didn't quite fit into the show, but it is a great topic and we wanted to put it in there. It kind of throw back to what we were discussing the last time we recorded. So it'll be on there. Please listen to it and we'll see you in the streets.
Hi, HHN 365. This is Christy with Orlando Decoded. I just finished listening to your podcast about the HHN lighthouses and what is going to stay and what is going to go, and I just had some thoughts. Leaving Beetlejuice out of the conversation, because Beetlejuice is just its own different animal. You know, it was only around for 2 days and wasn't announced and pop up and blah, blah, blah. So leaving that on its own thing, I think that what differentiates Halloween Horror Nights, well, at least one of the main differentiators of Halloween Horror Nights as opposed to other haunted attractions of the same style is that they don't repeat houses, that there's all new content every single year. So I think that whether or not these houses comes back is really dependent on the world situation in a few months, like March, April, May, what it looks like. If the vaccine rollout is going well and it looks like we're going to be able to have an event that at least looks mostly like what we've seen in the past, then I don't think Tooth Fairy is coming back at all. And I would have doubts about Bride. The only reason why I would think Bride would come back is because it's a character that people know and love, and because it was such a different house. But Tooth Fairy, I mean, Tooth Fairy just wasn't anything that special. I mean, you know, it's an original house that some would say is well done. I have my own feelings. That's a whole different call. But you know, I don't think that Tooth Fairy is distinctive enough to come back if we're going to see an event that's anything close to full size. If the vaccine rollout is not going well and we're still pretty much exactly where we were, at the beginning of the summer this year or where we are now, then of course, yeah, obviously I would see those houses coming back, even if they decided to hold the event. You know, I think that those houses might come back. But anyway, point being is that I do think that a lot of the factor of whether or not these houses return is based on the world situation, really. So thanks. Love the podcast. Thanks for your time. Bye.